Rich Risville with American Ag Network here. I'm with Jim Peterson with the North Dakota Wheat Commission, and they've got an event coming up. Jim, why don't you tell us, first of all, tell us a little bit about the North Dakota Wheat Commission, would you?
So yeah, the North Dakota Wheat Commission is the checkoff organization for wheat producers in the state, primarily focused on international market development, domestic promotion. We also fund a fair amount of research at North Dakota State University, and then yeah, so with Durum, we get a little bit more involved with the U.S. domestic industry because more of that stays local here, but. North Dakota is the number one producer of durum, number one producer of hard red spring wheat. So we obviously, do a lot of work in international markets, finding homes for those two crops.
Well, and I think a lot of folks are familiar with Durham and they've heard the term and everything. Could you explain it for a little bit more in depth for our audience?
So yeah, durum is a very small share of U.S. durum or of U.S. total wheat production. And yeah, in a lot of national discussions, even regional discussions, they want to talk wheat as wheat. Well, durum is pretty unique in that, it's the number one ingredient in traditional Italian pasta. There's a lot of pasta competition coming on from, non-grain pastas, but obviously we're biased, but the best pasta in the world is that made from North Dakota durum. And durum it's a harder durum than some of the other classes of wheat, and so when you fractionate it during the milling process, you get a coarser grind, and it's yellow in color, the semolina. And so then when you add water to that and extrude it to make pasta, you get that nice yellow color that consumers like, and the taste to it and the cooking properties. There is other types of wheat that are tried to use for pasta, but you don't get quite, the bite, the cooking quality, some of those things. And, Durham has another unique advantage in that Northeast Montana, Northwest North Dakota is where the bulk of it's grown, simply because it's pretty sensitive to environment. It likes a drier environment. We do grow irrigated durum in California and Arizona, but it's kind of pretty localized where it can be grown. And because of that, if you get any weather issues, that type of thing, it can get some pretty volatile market. And last year, just tremendous price opportunities on durum, but not everywhere can grow it, for good or bad.
So we've just got some of those perfect growing areas in North Dakota and moving a bit into Montana.
Exactly. One of the terms I've heard is durum doesn't like wet feet. Probably like some of the disease tolerance. It likes cool nights. So as you get further north, and obviously Canada is, one of the larger producers of durum in the world. So southern Saskatchewan is also a big durum producing area. So, that microclimate up in there seems to be pretty ideal for durum production.
Okay, well, good. So now let's talk about this event coming up here. It's next week, right? Is it the November 2nd and 3rd, right?
Exactly. It's we call it the Crop Outlook and Durum Forum. It's an annual meeting held in Minot, North Dakota, and the focus is on both durum and spring wheat. Traditionally it started out as just the Durum Forum, and so it was almost all durum topics. As durum acres shifted further west, we kind of added more discussion on some of the spring wheat. But in general, it still has a very heavy durum focus. And with that, we get a lot of participation from the durum industry out of state. Durum millers, some pasta manufacturers, even some representatives from California or Arizona from the desert durum production region. So as far as, excuse me, the main focus is going to be on, obviously looking at changes in the pasta industry. Our first keynote speaker, looking back and looking forward. We've had consolidation in the pasta industry. There's been, as we talked about, competition come in from non-durum type pasta. How is the market reacting to that? My kids, view pasta probably differently than, my parents or the generation before us. So we are starting to see a little bit of change in maybe how the industry packages pasta and looks at it. And then the following morning, we have another keynote speaker, and this one's from Armada Corporate Intelligence. And he's going to really focus on, I call them some of the non-ag issues, but they're very real and upfront: inflation, interest rates, energy concerns, even food shortage concerns, and what impact that could have on U.S. and world economies. So I think very timely there, and hopefully we get the producers to come in and listen to that. And then it's kind of our traditional topics. We'll give an update on NDSU and Montana durum breeding efforts. We'll give an overview of this year's crops, production and quality. And then we'll kind of wrap it up with a panel discussion from some of the main traders and buyers of North Dakota, Montana durum, and what the market outlook might be, and also some trends in pasta changes. So, and then I think the final speaker is on kind of a farm bill update, what's going on in Washington. So, really a pretty solid program, and hopefully producers can at least, take part in a portion of the program. So.
Well, that's outstanding. So, who can attend, and if they want to get registered and signed up to do it, how do they go? Where do they do that?
Yes, no, I appreciate you asking. So the meeting is free. We do have a banquet the night before, and then we do have a buffet breakfast that Tuesday or Thursday morning, November 3rd. And so it's open. Obviously, our target is producers in the region, grain elevator managers, kind of the industry. But they just go to, excuse me, I have to look here, but I think it's US or durumgrowers.com. We host this event with the Montana Wheat and Barley Committee, U.S. Durum Growers Association. So producers just go to that site. Obviously, the event is free, but we encourage or, kind of require registration just so we can, get a good handle on meal counts, that type of thing. So just go to that website, durumgrowers.com, and they can get further information.
Well, outstanding. Anything else you'd like to let us know today?
Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity to showcase it because, as we talked about earlier, durum is a relatively small share of the U.S. wheat production, but obviously a very valuable economic source for, the state of North Dakota, Montana. The NDSU durum breeding program is the largest public breeding program in the U.S., and so a lot of resources are invested in durum, in North Dakota and Montana. And I know a lot of growers, took a chance on durum this year just because of the prices last year. The market has fallen off, but I still think there's some pretty good opportunities and a lot of unknowns going into next year. So we have a lot of speakers that are going to hopefully. Nobody has all the answers, but hopefully give you a few more variables to come closer to an answer. So,
well, perfect. Well, Jim Peterson with the North Dakota Wheat Commission, really appreciate you spending some time with us today.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity.